Diving into any kind of software can be really confusing and time consuming if you have no prior knowledge of how that piece of software works. Which is why in this video I'm going to go over how the Unity editor works so that when we move on with the series there won't be so many problems with understanding of what's going on. Let's start off by opening up Unity. And of course there's going to be a loading screen, but I've just loaded it preemptively. You're greeted with a sign-in page which asks you to sign in using your Unity ID, Google or Facebook. What signing in allows you to do is use some of the services that Unity provides, but more on that in a later video. So for now, let's just skip this. We're now taken to our projects tab, which show the projects that I have here locally on my machine and in the cloud. Let's create a new project. I'm gonna call mine tutorial, make it a 3D project, and let's create the project. Creating a new project can take a little bit of time depending on your machine. So now that we have our project open, let's go over what we see. In the middle of the screen we have our scene view, and for any of you who've done some 3D modeling before in tools like Blender or Autodesk's Maya, then this view might be a little familiar to you. And for those who haven't, don't worry, I'll explain it. Basically what is it? It is this grid is it's showing 1 unit squares, and a unit is how all objects in Unity is measured. So right now it's very static, like we can see there's a light here and there's a camera here, but if it's the game world, should we be able to move around it? And we can. If we hold down the middle mouse button, then we can drag the view around. If we hold down Alt and then hold down the left mouse button, then we can rotate, and using the mouse wheel we can scroll. You can also up here switch from using the move tool, which is used to select objects and move them around, to the hand tool, which allows us to drag without using the middle mouse button. But let's just use the move tool for now and middle mouse button for moving around. Up here in the right corner there is a weird figure, really, but what it is actually really simple. It's showing us how our current view, if we rotate it you can see changes here. It's basically how our current view of the world is according to which axes. So if you think of a Cartesian coordinate system with an x, a y and a z axis, we can basically have 3D points and objects in this, and it's the same with the scene view. It's a 3D world comprised of an x, a z and a y axis. For some reason different from maths, in computer science and games in particular, the y-axis is the height and the z-axis is the depth. Out here in the left side of the screen we have the hierarchy, which is a list representation of what objects are in our game. Down here in the bottom we have the project tab, which is again a list and a subview representation of all the assets, all the files we have currently in the folder of where our game lies. Out to the right we have the inspector. We will get into what the inspector does next time. And we have the game view, which is what the game is going to look like when we run it. We can even, for fun, like we saw here, there's not much game really, but when you want to test out your game, there's these 3 buttons up here. You can press play, it automatically switches into game mode and runs all the scripts and animations that are in our game. We can pause it, which means it's still running, but the time is no longer running, so we can edit some of our things in real time, like for the actual running instance of the game, so that as long as it's running, the changes have effect, and then when it stops running, the changes dissipate again, and then we can actually add them to the game if we like the changes, and we can just move along if we didn't. The last button here, if you hover over it, it says step, and it's used for when running through animations. So that's pretty much all there is to the editor window. Just one, well, two last things. It's the console down here with the project tab, which is where all errors, warnings, and debug messages are going to come up. There's the services tab here, which would show you a bunch of services if you were logged in using your Unity ID, but more on that later, of course. And then there's the asset store, which allows you to download for a price or for free, depending on the asset, assets which can be scripts, and it can be models, textures, you name it, that you can use in your game that are made by either Unity or other players. A final note is you can rearrange all the tabs however you like, simply by dragging them around the screen. If you don't like how it looks, for example, you can just drag it around, rearrange it, resize it, however you like. But that's it. This is all you need to know before moving into the next video, where we're going to talk about what game objects are and how we use them in Unity. If you like this video, then hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to watch more content like this, and if you want to get updated when a new video in this series comes out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.